Danny being with us. Danny, so many Liverpool fans getting in touch this morning saying, what's Danny's take on our friend, our idol, Mr. Mo Salah? It would appear the football club has gone out and broken the bank to keep Mo Salah. He's agreed a new 3-year contract worth up to £400,000 a week, and that will make him the highest paid player in the club's history. What would you say is the better business this summer? Manchester City capturing Haaland or Liverpool keeping Mo?
I think they're both good business. I think they both enhance the squad. Well, obviously Salah's already there, but I think for Liverpool, the Salah sign or re-signing is more important. City won the league without Haaland, so you could argue they didn't need him, although he does make them better. Liverpool, if they were to lose Mane and Salah in the same summer, I think would be difficult for them to fill both those voids. I know they've brought in the new lad Nunez and they've got Luis Diaz, but to lose Salah the goals, he's guaranteed goals. And if you look at it from a financial point of view, if it is 400, I'm not sure it's probably that much, but even if it is, that's 20 million a year times 3, 60 million. If you were to go out and try and replace him, you'd have to spend more than that and the wages. So it's a good business deal as well as a brilliant football move.
Did the club have any other choice, Danny, than finally to go out there and break the wage structure and make him the highest paid player?
They had no choice if they wanted to keep him. But they always have a choice. Could have got rid. But they found a deal. I don't think it'd be 400. I think it'd be a bit less.
Could you have imagined a situation, Simon, that stalemate and Salah goes? I mean, the fans would never have accepted that, would they?
Depends what Liverpool did to replace it.
Correct,
but no,
yeah.
I mean, the argument is always going to be the level of money. I mean, I do. People can have their view on why I might have these motivations, but I do think the level of money that some of these players are getting is obscene. But we're at a point now where it's difficult to argue. If you've got Kevin De Bruyne being as influential at Man City, getting paid this kind of money, and you've got David De Gea at Manchester United, then that bar has been set. So as much as I don't like it, and I think there's reasons why these bars should be far lower, that is the market price. And as Danny points out, if you had to go and buy somebody to replace him, you'd have both. You'd have both the transfer fee, which would be an asset that you could capitalise, but an asset that's depreciating, and you'd have the wages. So given he's in the building and you've already bought and paid for him, 3, 4, 5 years ago, what is the point, unless you believe that he's not going to be effective in the next 3 or 4 years, in not re-signing him on a wage level which is commensurate with the other top players that are influencing the clubs that they play for?
Well, I think there is an argument around, isn't there, with any player when you give them a huge contract, is that the performance level can drop and that they become, they call it the comfort zone in football, where you get your levels drop because you've got the big money deal. But he's not. He doesn't seem that type of guy to me. He's very ambitious in terms of hitting targets, becoming Liverpool's greatest, becoming a serial winner in terms of trophies. He'll want to win the league again. He'll want to win a Champions League. He doesn't come across the type of guy who's going to lessen his standards just because he's earning more money. As we saw with De Bruyne this year. De Bruyne's standards were as good as ever, weren't they, this season? And
Of course.
So I think that can happen with some players, but I think those players have a different mindset to what.
But they wouldn't be. I think they wouldn't be at those sort of clubs in the first place if they had that mindset. And if you're on £11 million a year and you go up to £18 million a year, you're already in a bracket where you've already been affected by the weight of money at £11 million a year. The other £7 million is extra gravy, and that's what you think you're entitled to, and that's what you position yourself in against the people that you're playing alongside or competing against in terms of these are the parameters that we judge it by. So with that in mind, I don't think you get to play for Liverpool or for Manchester City if you are in a position where you're the sort of player that actually, when you give them a new contract, they could turn around and be not worthy of it because they get into a comfort zone.
What about United players?
Well, United is a different animal. I didn't. You notice I deliberately didn't touch United there because that's a different animal. Because the moment they started signing people like Sanchez for more money than Man City are prepared to pay, it never became a football decision about which club Sanchez wanted to play for. It became a money decision. Yeah. And the moment it became a money decision, why would Man United want to be at that table? It's part and parcel of the negotiation, but it shouldn't be a defining factor.
It seems almost a ridiculous question, Danny, but I'll ask it. Do you think we've still to see the best of Mo Salah?
No, I think we've seen the best.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think I don't think his levels are going to drop. He can't do more. It's nearly impossible. His levels have been phenomenal, but I think he'll maintain them.
I mean, how has he become this player? He wasn't this player when he was at Chelsea with Mourinho. He wasn't this player at Roma.
Well, because
how has he become it?
He's been put in an environment and in a team that suits him. Individually, he's got himself physically and mentally to a level maybe he never thought he could. He's in terms of his confidence in himself, the way he can, his durability is phenomenal. That's with help of the sports science department as well. I think you could argue that the way Liverpool keep, generally, apart from that one season where they got a couple of bad injuries, generally the front line has been fit for huge periods of the last 3 and 4 years, missed very few games. So that's a mental strength within the player who wants to play all the games. It's also a compliment to the football club and the training methods to keep the players that fit. But ultimately, he's been put in a team that works tremendously well for him and the strengths he has. So it's all come together at once. And when you have a season like that season where he broke all the records, that can't help but give you more confidence to then go and carry on and keep scoring goals.
It becomes self-fulfilling. I think if you stuck Mo Salah in Man United's team, he would struggle. I think it's been the perfect space with a perfect manager, with a perfect setup, with a perfect group of players at times that have absolutely played into the narrative that Mo Salah can do things at a certain level. And now he's in a space where he believes it himself. And perception is 90% of reality. He perceives he can do whatever he sets his mind to. So he does.
Yeah.
And he's also, let's not forget, and this is part of it as well, he has played on the right side of a Liverpool team that's got the most productive right back in history of football. He's hitting numbers, Trent, that no right back has ever hit before in terms of his assists. It's just phenomenal.
Will the club do for Salah, for others, what they've done for Salah, or is he an exception here? We're going to see this again.
Well, I think Simon will know more about where he views the next few years of football going financially, but I'd be surprised if you're going to find a domino effect of players knocking on the door and getting to the level.
Yeah, no domino effect.
I don't think so. I mean, there could be every time you negotiate a new deal, there's always going to be a little bit of improvement, but you're not going to pay a centre half the same as the guy that scores you 25, 30 goals every season.
You know the club, Danny, better than anybody. Are some Liverpool fans, it's a generational thing, are some Liverpool fans looking at Salah thinking he's going to eclipse what we think of Dalglish, the player? Or has he done that already? Is he getting towards that?
No. Never get there.
Different time in Liverpool's history. Liverpool were dominating football when Dalglish took over from Kevin Keegan. Liverpool were a different force. They are one of the best clubs in Europe, but they are not dominating football in the same way that the era that Kenny Dalglish presided over, who then went on to manage Liverpool. So the whole legacy of Kenny Dalglish is a package.
It is. Yeah. But even the individual,
with the management.
But but even if you take away the management, but you break down some of the moments.
Player for player.
Oh, I'm Kenny, and I always have been. But if you think of Kenny scoring the winner in a European Cup, I know Salah got the penalty 2-0 against it. Kenny scored the winner at Stamford Bridge on the last day of the season to win Liverpool the league. Kenny's got these magical moments you can look back on if you know the history of Liverpool. And Simon's right. You can't actually. I say separate. You can't. What he then went on to do as manager, what he did for the city with his wife and all the charity work. Then how he went. He coped with Hillsborough. Kenny never be eclipsed.
Okay, not even by Mo Salah. A bumper new deal for him, 3-year contract, and it comes at a time that Phillips is now in at Manchester City. Gabriel Jesus, earlier this morning, announced by Arsenal. It's all happening out there. Ronaldo, meantime, not at training today for family reasons.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.